Hey, you guys, it's Tuesday night. It's 9 o'clock. I'm Miss M, and this is Cover 3. I want to welcome everybody to the very first Cover 3 after a game of the 2014 season. I am ready to go. I am ramped up. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for this moment. Ever since February, I've been waiting until I can have football back in my life again, and it is back. And Cover 3 is back. And this week, I have a very special guest. Her name is Erica Anderson. Erica, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing just fine. Now, Erica is going to be joining us on a regular basis throughout the season. I wanted you to kind of get to know one of my regular co-hosts. We're going to try and do a little rotation action this year on Cover 3. And Erica, let folks know, other than Cover 3, the other blogging and broadcasting that you do. Tell us about it.
Well, I write for gridirongirl.org. I actually write the University of Washington column, Go Huskies. I actually also write the, we call it Pro Talk, but it focuses on the NFL. I have a video rant that I will start weekly, week 1 of the NFL season, that I call Are You Kidding Me? Really is just like it sounds, and I am stuff that really flabbergasts us because we know the athletes and coaches and some of these people. So that it will be available on the site. And I do a radio show every Sunday evening with at Gridiron Beauties is their Twitter handle. That does a little bit of NFL and women's tackle football. So that's a lot of fun. We do that Sunday evenings at, I guess it's 4:30 Mountain Time, which I am, so it'd be 3:30 Pacific, which is on Blog Talk Radio and UltimateSportsTalk.com. So, yeah.
Very nice. Well, it sounds like you are one busy lady with your football writing and broadcasting. And speaking of your UW Huskies, you recently went to Pac-12 Media Day. Tell us a little bit about that. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. Other than just in decently hot, which I'm not used to. I live in the mountains. I live in a mile high in Montana. So we went, me and Nicole Brown, who is our Oregon writer, the Oregon Ducks writer, we went to LA and we went to Pac-12 Media Day, which was held at Paramount Studios. Fabulous design and setup. They were amazing, and all the Pac-12 schools came. And I'm telling you, it was amazing to talk, you know, to some of these kids that I've been watching on TV. Brett Hundley, UCLA's quarterback, is amazing. There was a Utah player, and I cannot think of his name off the top of my head. Starts with a D. I know that because I follow him on Twitter. Kid was hilarious. Just well-spoken, was, oh my gosh, kid was awesome. He plays for Utah. I got to meet Chris Peterson, ask him some questions. Nicest guy in the world. So excited that he is taking over for Sarkisian. Got to talk to the UW players as well. Really just immersed myself in that world and was just awesome. I just had such a blast I didn't want to leave. So
I can imagine. Now, tell me a little bit about your Huskies. Who are you keeping an eye on this year? Who is a rising junior or senior that you're watching with an eye toward maybe them coming out into the draft, although we know that's a far ways off. But who are you keeping your eyes on this season?
You know, I do not know why I'm having so many brain issues. The old lineman I talked to, I don't know why I can't think of him. He, oh my gosh, I don't know what's wrong with me. But he is really, he was injured a couple years ago, but really is kind of the core of the offensive line. The Huskies, they have a really good O-line. So I'm excited to see him kind of step into that leadership role. And, you know, that whenever a new coach ever comes into a system, and especially, you know, Sarkisian leaving the way he did wasn't, it was a very big surprise. It kind of pulled the rug out from under some of these kids. And so I'm excited to kind of see how he steps into that role and how he's able to just really command, I think, the offensive line. Keith Price left last year, so I'm excited to kind of watch the quarterback situation there. We had a lot of kids leave last year, so it's kind of a younger team. I'm excited to see what Peterson's going to do, so.
And did you have the chance to ask him what direction was he headed? Was he going to switch things up a lot? Did you have the chance to have a conversation like that with him?
Yeah, I asked him, at Boise State, when he coached, he actually had a Twitter ban. The kids were not allowed to use Twitter. He felt that it was distracting and that these kids are really, they're teenagers. They're highly emotional. They don't make the best decisions. He even said, he's like, it's the dumbest age, which is true. And these kids are really dumb, and they have a lot of responsibility. They're in the spotlight. So he had a Twitter ban at Boise State, and I had asked him if he was planning on enforcing that at University of Washington. And he actually said no, that he wasn't, but that I followed up and asked him if he let the players know that, does he have the right to revoke that if they abuse the privilege? And he said, yeah, they're well aware of that. Peterson, from what I gathered from the players, was he's hardcore. If he tells you to do a drill a certain way, he expects you to do it the exact way he said, and you will repeat that drill until you do it the way he said.
Oh, man.
The players were talking about it, and he said, oh, sounds kind of like he's got a syllabus like a college professor. And the player followed up and said, he's way harder than a college professor. He's got 4 months written out and a calendar, and this is this and that is that. And with how successful Peterson has been in his coaching career, I think that that's probably a lot of why he, is so successful and able to achieve what he's been able to. So I'm pretty excited to see, him come into UW and really take that team and mold it. So.
Well, what's interesting to me is that from the time that anyone notices that a kid has athletic aptitude, no one says no to that kid. It's always yes, yes, yes. What can we do to convince you to play here? What can we convince you to come to school, here? Nobody says no to these kids, and they sometimes do not have any other structure than their coach gives them on their athletic team. So to hear a coach like that who has a calendar mapped out for these kids, and this is the way that you're going to do it, these are the things that you're not allowed to do. Sometimes these kids need to have that kind of structure so that they don't grow up to be like Ryan Leaf. Look at how disappointing that is. This guy who was in the NFL not that long ago, and now he's being arrested for burglary, and he's got all kinds of other issues. And so, to me, I think that these kids a lot of them could very well benefit from somebody who cares enough about them to give them that kind of structure. So I like to hear of coaches being that hard-nosed with their teams.
I thought of his name. It was Ben Reba. Just to put that out there, Ben Reba. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do this year. So yeah. So and structure's great, but too, Siler Miles, who is a quarterback at University of Washington, was in an altercation in February, and said, hey, I screwed up. I believe he was in a fight. He's like, I screwed up, came to the team, came to Peterson, and was, very open about it. He was, he was punished. They let him back on the team. He said he was sorry. So Peterson, he's very structured, but at the same time, he said, because it was something that was very asked about at Pac-12 Media Day, and he was like, he's a kid, and that's when he's like, it's a stupid age. And he made a bad decision, and he's sorry for it, and now they're going to give him a second chance. I don't know how much forthcoming a third chance would be, but for now, Peterson is, so I think there's some grace there as well which is important, but that rigid structure, I think, is going to be a help for, like you said, so there's some kids out there that need that. They come from homes and and environments that probably didn't provide that for them, so they're not used to that. But in the long run, it would be something that's beneficial.
Yeah, and you know, there's nothing wrong with allowing someone to own up to what they've done and to try and to make up for it, not just to their coach, but to their teammates as well. And so I think that sometimes allowing someone a do-over is not a bad thing. You know, and this is interesting. I was going to try and avoid this topic, but I can't. I actually, I have to go there. So, you know, this kid had the grace to be able to come to his team and to his coach and say, look, I messed up. And, you know, punish me and, you know, but please let me come back and let me make good. You know, this would, if he comes into the NFL, I don't know that Roger Goodell would be, you know, would be as forgiving if he smoked marijuana. But you know, if what the kid did was beat up his girlfriend or his wife, hey, Roger Goodell would probably say, we're going to punish you for about what, 5 minutes. We'll fine you, I don't know, $500. And, you know, a little blip on the radar, right? I don't know what I'm more upset about. And granted, I wasn't there. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know whether I'm more upset that that you know Ray Rice is getting this ridiculously easy breezy penalty, or that the people in Baltimore gave him a standing ovation at training camp. I don't know which sickens me more. But I can tell you what. What's really scary is that, you know, his wife is making excuses for him. That's just, you know, I don't know what your take on that is, but I'm pretty disappointed in Roger Goodell yet again.
Yeah, my disappointment in Roger Goodell has been pretty consistent since he has taken control of that office. I feel like that the crime and the issues in the NFL are only getting more rampant. I get an alert on my phone every day about somebody violating the substance abuse policy, and so, you know, the substance abuse policy either is BS. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked it up, but obviously there needs to be more policing for these players. You know, they talk about when they're rookies and we come in and we help them and we teach them about money and we teach them how to handle their lives and publicity. Obviously it's not doing much. These are grown men, but they're acting like children, essentially. I have children that are actually better behaved. But, you know, Roger Goodell needs to get a hand on it. His punishments do need to get more consistent. You know, that Ray Rice, like you said, I haven't even watched. I've seen stills and I've seen, you know, but I don't know the whole story, obviously. Nobody probably but him and his wife do. But that somebody would get an entire season ban for violating substance abuse policy, which I get. You have a substance abuse policy, people should be violating it, but they have an entire season. And then these guys are drinking and driving, they're getting in fights, they're shooting, and they get a couple of games. Where's the continuity? What message are we sending our young fans, and what message are we sending the players about what kind of conduct is okay and what kind of conduct is not okay? You know?
Well, and then you've got the disparity between punishments of the players and then, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything about what Jim Irsay's punishment is going to be. And if you're going to be that hard-nosed on the players, well, some of them, then you need to be hard-nosed on the owners as well. And not only that, but, you know, you have to take into consideration that you've got an owner right now who is considering bringing back somebody who killed his teammate when he was drunk driving.
I know. I just saw that. I know.
I have a really difficult time with this. I really, you know, Jerry Jones doesn't make much sense to me anyway as a Redskins fan, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. But, you know, really, seriously, Jim Irsay is, you know, he was caught drunk driving. What is Goodell going to do to him? because essentially, if you think about it, Goodell works for the owners. He doesn't work for the players. He works for the owners. So don't you think in this instance that the NFLPA should then be able to make suggestions about what the punishment is for an owner, since, you know, Goodell is sort of partial to the fact that he works for the owners? I thought that might be a very interesting take on that whole situation.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Goodell in that particular situation should maybe recuse himself from making any sort of decision. Because, you know, the NFL is an organization, but each team is also its own independent business and organization. Goodell works for the NFL, but really, let's be honest, what is the NFL? The NFL is made up of 32 businesses worth a ton of money who need to be happy. And they need to be happy or Roger Goodell isn't happy. And it is very, you know, the Ray Rice thing, you know, if in fact what has been reported is true, it's despicable. You know, he laid his hands on his wife. I don't care what she said. I don't care. That's inexcusable. There's no reason to ever lay your hands on a woman. And Ravens fans, doesn't surprise me, to be honest. There are some players in Baltimore that you know, obviously being a Patriots fan, I know it. But
see, could his name possibly be Ray Lewis?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Ray Lewis. There's another criminal that, you know, can't stand Bernard Pollard. He has a contract. I think someone has hired him as a contract hitman for the Patriots players. I am telling you, he has injured Gronkowski when Welker was playing for the Patriots and Brady. All very serious injuries. These are not like, oh, you got bruised ribs. These are like high ankle sprains, ACL tears, a complete restructured knee. So Baltimore Ravens aren't my favorite people. I know that.
Well, you know, Haloti Nada, God bless him. I don't think he did it on purpose, but he was the one who fell on Robert's knee originally, and we all know where that led to. But anyway, speaking of your Patriots, and speaking of my Redskins, that was a very interesting game on Thursday. You know, first of all, can I just say right now, I know that Gronk probably doesn't watch, and that's all right. He can break my heart again. But Gronk didn't even make it down from New England to come and visit the DMV, and you know, we had our arms open wide to welcome Gronk with our open arms and have him come to our lovely area here in the District of Columbia and hang out with all the good people of Richmond during training camp, and Gronk was a no-show. So I'm a little disappointed, and I'm even more disappointed, although I will tell you that when I was at the game on Thursday, I burst through security, and I got down to, I got down close to the sideline, and I screamed out for Tom Brady, and I said, hey, how come you're not playing tonight? And he said, well, Erica's not here, and Jennifer's not here, so I'm not going to, why should I bother if my two girls aren't here to watch me play? So I did want to let you know that Tom had you in mind, and the fact that you weren't there broke his heart, so he couldn't play.
Oh, that does make me feel better. It does. I'm so jealous you got to see that game. Oh, my gosh, my Patriots. I know. You know, I didn't get to watch the game because, unfortunately, I do live in Montana where we only broadcast Seattle, Green Bay, Denver games typically. Maybe some Oakland sprinkled in there. So we don't, unless they're on like Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, I don't get to see it, unfortunately. But I did read up on it. Obviously, Brady didn't play. But I felt like the game was really it was obviously Gruden's first real trial with him taking over the team. RG3 coming, back. He's obviously been under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure. I wasn't upset about the loss because, like we know, it is preseason. It's kind of a practice in a game situation. But I felt like it was really more important for the Redskins to kind of oil their gears than it was for the Patriots. The Redskins have really undergone a lot of changes, and they've had a lot of So I felt like it was probably a really good experience for the Redskins team as a whole, to kind of have that positive experience in a game situation, and so I was reading about it, and it seems like Gruden was really pleased with the team's performance. So
I think he was. I think that he was pleased that that he, preseason or not, I think that he was very pleased that they came away with the win. I think that for no other reason than just to build morale for the team, because without delving into it in depth, the circus that was the Washington Redskins last year. It started at the end of the 2012 season, and it continued all throughout last season. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting for the team. It was exhausting for the fans. It did not end well. We had a real sharp divide in the fandom, and we were disappointed for and in our players last season. Not that they didn't try hard, but so I think that from just the morale perspective, I think that Coach was very pleased to come away with the win. I think that only having Robert in for one series, I think that he was in, it got him out there and moving around a little bit. I'm not sure why Coach pulled him after one series. I guess because there's no question that will Robert make the team? Will he not make the team? I think we all know that he's going to be our starting quarterback. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I cannot even begin to tell you how it made my heart just soar to see my man Alfred Morris just pick up where he left off last season and powering through and running, with several people, carrying several people. Not only that, but oh my God, Lake Seastrunk and also Silas Redd. Holy cow, those two guys, wow. These running backs are going to be, pardon me, I think they're going to be the ones who are going to end up making the team. Pardon me. What I wanted to ask you about was what was up with Tom not playing, and what in the heck has happened to Ryan Mallett? I mean, he did not look. He just did not look right. Something about him was off in that game.
Yeah, I was reading. Brady said he didn't know till right before the game that he wasn't going to play. That's how Belichick plays it. He lets everybody prepare and then makes his decision. Brady, I think he just didn't feel like Brady needed to play. I am curious as to whether they're shopping Mallett around for trade. I think they wanted to give Mallett the start. To my knowledge, he's never had a start like that before, and I think it's just a lot of nerves. Brady even said, Mallett needs to be given a chance. He said he's a solid quarterback. He's good at what he does. And, even with, that performance, he goes, the kid just needs to be given a chance. And they said he's never had a chance so far. So I think there was probably definitely some nerves there. From what I've seen of Mallett, he's a pretty good quarterback. If I were a coach, I would not have him as my starting quarterback right now if he were to be traded. I don't feel like he's completely ready yet to really lead an offense. He's a solid backup. I mean, if a quarterback were to go down, I feel like he's one of the better backups in the league. But I think Brady, because Amendola didn't play and Edelman didn't play, so I think. Right. Belichick just kind of wanted to rest, the real big starters. Brandon LaFell did get to play, which I think is good to get him kind of integrated into the team. Brandon, I think Brian Timms had a touchdown from Garoppolo. So Garoppolo got some touches, which was good. So hopefully Mallett has a better experience. I feel bad for him just because I can't imagine your first pro debut and it kind of falls flat. I think, to have that, I think he only had 55 yards passing. you know, a little chink in your armor there. It kind of, you know, undermines your confidence. So I'm hoping he kind of is able to brush it off and able to kind of learn, and Tom's able to really school him through that. I mean, if anybody knows the pressure that comes with being thrown into a situation, it's Brady. So, but I would expect to see Brady play, you know, in their preseason game against the Eagles. You know, week 2, you know, you only have, I mean, four games of practice really in a game situation, and Brady needs to get that chemistry going with his receivers. You know, Tompkins, he played, but you know, last season was a big issue with our receivers and Brady getting that chemistry and being able to really communicate. Dobson and Tompkins both dropping balls, missing balls, and I know they've probably been working on that. LaFell's a new addition, so I'd like to see Brady really get the game touches experience with his receivers. So Gronk hasn't been cleared for contact yet, unfortunately, but hopefully by week 1 he's cleared for contact. I'm with you. I am a huge Gronk fan. Oh.
I love me some Gronk. He is just, you want to talk about a big, lovable caveman frat boy. That's how I see him, and I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form in an ugly or demeaning or mean way. He is just, I really liked him to begin with, but I'll tell you when I really, truly had a spot in my Redskins heart for Gronk was when I watched the 30 for 30 about him and his brothers and his mom. God bless his mom, with 4 boys that are all like, you know, tree trunks.
Yeah.
Thank God, what that woman must have gone through with, you know, raising those 4 boys. But that's truly when I think, like I say, I found room in my Redskins heart for Gronk. I was very glad to see Vince was back into good form. You know, I know that y'all really missed him last year once he got hurt. And it was interesting to me to see Garoppolo out there. I felt like watching him, he was probably more at ease than Ryan Mallett was. You know, so that was my take on it. Now, I'll tell you, it's interesting that you talk about gaining the chemistry between you and, you know, your quarterback and your receivers. It was interesting to me that I went to the very first day of Redskins training camp, and by the way, Redskins, just to show you how much I love you, drove 2 hours in the pouring down rain, stood out in the pouring down rain with just a hat, no umbrella, just a hat. And anyway, it just seemed like, and I know that they had, you know, mini camp and OTAs and things like that, but it just seemed like when Robert, you know, was out there tossing the ball around, it was like, you know, they hadn't skipped a beat, and Deshaun fit right into the whole scheme of things. I really like how he is fitting into the dynamic right now. You know, my biggest concern is that, you know, the receivers want the ball, and, you know, no offense to Robert, but he proved, if nothing else, last year, he proved time and again that he would leave Santana open. Santana would be by himself all the way downfield, and instead of throwing to Santana, he would throw it to Pierre, who was double covered or triple covered. You know, so that kind of concerns me a little bit about how he's going to work these other receivers into the rotation. But who I'm really interested in seeing this season really bust out is going to be our tight end, Jordan Reed. He is an amazing young man who did a great job last year, and I think is going to do even better this year. Pardon me. We also have a tight end by the name of Ted Bolser, who's out of Indiana. He scored one of our touchdowns. I'm interested to see how he does. I want to see Logan Paulson, who I think is also going to excel a bit this year, move up the depth chart. I would hope, because Niles Paul hasn't showed me anything, and who am I? He hasn't really shown me much, but I'm interested in seeing one of these other guys sort of bump him back down, send him to special teams. But I'm biased on that account. I'm also in awe of Morgan Moses, a tackle out of Virginia, who is, we were talking about it before the show went live. This guy is 6'6" and weighs like 318 pounds. This dude is humongous. He is no joke. He is going to be amazing. I thought that I have to shout out my favorite coach, Raheem Morris. Raheem was in mid-season form, getting on people, hollering out at them and making sure that they towed the line there on that first day of training camp. It was an interesting experience for sure, and that game kind of showed me that they could go in against. Granted, it was the 2s and the 3s, but they could go in against your Patriots 2s and 3s, who are no slouches, and do well and gain confidence. And I think that coming up on this Monday night game with Cleveland, I think they're going to need that confidence. You guys are facing off against Philly on Thursday night, so tell me what your thoughts are on that game. Give me a little bit of a preview as to what you would be looking for if you were able to. And I hope you can stream. I think you can stream it live on NFL.com. I'll bet you can. So
yeah.
You can really check that out. But tell me what you would be looking for in this next game.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because Mark Sanchez is with Philly. So it's like, he was with the Jets, and now we're facing him in preseason now that he's with Philly. So I'll be interested to see how the dynamic is with him versus the Patriots now on a different team. I've been very critical of Mark Sanchez and what I feel like aren't NFL caliber skills. I don't know how much of that was due to the total circus that is Rex Ryan and the Jets. I have no respect for Rex Ryan, and that's not just because he coaches the Jets. I think he's a crap coach. I'm going to be honest. He's crap. And the Jets are even dumber for letting him stay. And so I'm interested to see Sanchez, to see how he's faring in a new system. Is it, to see how Chip Kelly, who was at Oregon, and to see, what's this going to be like. Kerry, I think his name's Kerry, was it Kerry Williams or something, said he didn't want to practice with he didn't want to do joint practices with the Patriots because he was afraid we were going to take their calls or something. So I'd like to see Brady or Mallett or Garoppolo throw right over his head right into the end zone and just be like, how's that for videotaping? So that's a little bit of my resentment coming out. But if I have to hear about Spygate one more time, someone's probably going to get shanked. I'm just going to be honest. I will be watching Brady and his receivers to see, chemistry-wise, to see, the defense. We've got some new faces. Braxton Cave, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm interested to see how Braxton Cave does. I don't know if Will Fork will play, but I'm interested to see how, after his Achilles injury, he was out all last season, so I'm interested to see that. See how he performs. So I've got my eye on, on some people. I'd love to see Garoppolo and see, how he is, and see if he's settled in the pocket, and, watching Philly too, watching their systems and schemes, and so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it, if anybody is concerned about, the whole Spygate thing and the stealing, don't worry about it. I know that Bill got a brand new pair of Google glasses, but don't be alarmed. I don't think that that's I don't think that means anything. No, I'm kidding. Poor Patriots. They're never going to live that down. And what I'd be interested. First of all, nobody can say anything to me about the Jets without the very first thought coming to my head. You know what I'm about to say.
I do.
Butt fumble, butt fumble. That's
Yep.
what I think every time someone says the Jets to me is butt fumble. So I'm sorry, I digress. What I'm interested to see is now that everybody has a whole season's worth of film on Chip Kelly, how effective is his scheming going to be, his offensive scheme going to be this season? I'd like to be able to see how it's going to fare in its second season, because I don't know. It would seem to me that especially those of us who have to play them twice a year would kind of have some of that already all figured out. I'm sure that he probably had nightmares about those Philadelphia games last season, and is probably more than prepared already. And it's only the second week, pardon me, of preseason, right? But I'm sure he's already prepared for that game. What I would be interested to see too from Philly is, who obviously they've got LaShawn, and to me that's the only weapon that they have. And I mean, I'm trying not to be biased. I only know that they have LaShawn McCoy. Who else do they have? That's what I would be interested in seeing out of that game. So it's and I would really like to see Tom Brady play. I know that look, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's got it down, and he's one of the game greats. Love him or hate him, you can't deny his talent. And he's one of the game greats, and though it is still exciting to watch him play, just like I still get so hyped for being able to see Peyton Manning play, although he's in Denver, which kind of gives me a rash to cheer for him in orange, but I digress. We are facing off against Johnny Football. So the circus is coming to town on Monday, and I don't know what's going to happen on Monday Night Football, because generally, we know that there's a particular broadcaster who loves them some quarterbacks who broadcasts on Monday Night Football. And with Johnny Football and RG3 in the same place at the same time, I think somebody's head is going to explode. I don't know, but, can I just tell you that I really wasn't, I thought that the kid did good. He came in in the second quarter the other evening when they were playing in Detroit. You would have thought that it was a Cleveland home game. I didn't think the kid did a bad job, but they were acting like he was the second coming of football Jesus, and that's just not true. Because we know that that's Tim Tebow. But I thought the kid did a good job. I feel bad for him that he's in Cleveland. Sorry, Cleveland. But I didn't think that he showed me anything spectacular or otherworldly as far as his talent goes. Maybe I'm just a little bit. When somebody tells me that a quarterback is great, I expect them to be Manning great or Brady great. Or Montana great. And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that from this kid. Were you able to see any of the replay of him being in the game? Did you read up on it? Tell me, do you have any thoughts about what his debut was like?
I haven't really looked at that game. I've watched Manziel in college. I watch a lot of college football. I know he's gotten better with his skills. I I have my own worries about Manziel. One is his maturity level. I don't feel he's ready to lead a team. I think that he's shown us that in off season. I get he's an adult, and I get he can go and do whatever he wants. That's true. But I feel like it would have been a more productive use of his time to watch film and be on the field and work on skills. There's a reason why Manning and Brady are Manning and Brady. They're why they're the benchmark right now as far as quarterbacks in the NFL. You don't hear about the excursions to Vegas and the partying, and they're not licking body shots off girls. And I feel like that shows his level of maturity. He's undersized, 5'11". It's small for a quarterback in the NFL. When you've got a 300-plus lineman coming after you, and you don't like to stay in the pocket, and you like to roll out and run away, he's going to catch you, and when he catches you, it's going to hurt. And I get, people can say, oh, he escapes. I've seen games where he escaped. That's in college against a college defense. That's not against seasoned veterans who know how to chase down a quarterback, and against a defensive coordinator that know exactly where you're going to go because they've watched your college film, and you've got instincts that everybody knows exactly where you're going to go. He's got, his feet are not, he doesn't stay in the pocket like he should because he's a runner. He's not a pocket passer. So I've got some legit concerns about whether Manziel can really have a long career. And that's not just because I think Circus is so hyped up and I'm not a big fan of his. That's just, I'd say that about anybody. So I think if the Browns were smart, they would start Hoyer at the beginning of the season. Hoyer's, he's been in the NFL longer. He's got the maturity right now that I think the Browns need. Manziel, I get everyone wants him to have a shot. He's worth a lot of money. He's a hot commodity. I get that, but I'm really worried the kid's going to get hurt, which it does not bode well for anybody. I would never wish that on anybody, and so I don't want to see him put in a situation where that is a potential. I know it's a potential for any player, but I feel like he has a higher potential, especially being as greeny as he is right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was a very exciting and very skillful college player. You don't get the kind of notoriety sometimes without having at least some level of talent. And I'm not saying that the kid isn't talented. I think that his talents are probably in the NFL hierarchy of things. I think that his talents obviously need to be developed. Andrew Luck is still developing his talents. Robert is still developing his talents. You don't just come in and boom, you're the sensation in the NFL that you were in college. I don't think anybody has ever had that kind of smooth transition and the level of success immediately, as much as the media wants for these quarterbacks to have. Because let's face it, I would be a straight up liar if I told you that what a lot of fans, the fatigue that a lot of fans are feeling about Johnny Manziel right now, they felt that fatigue about Robert Griffin III back in his rookie season, back in 2012. They felt that way. We felt that way. It was like, hush, back off of the kid, let him have his rookie season. But you know what's good? And my son actually brought up a very good point, and I didn't think about it this way. But what's good about this is that everybody wants to, oh my God, Johnny woke up and drank orange juice for breakfast this morning. He's already inhaled 7 times and exhaled 7 times, and it's only, they want to cover every aspect of every single thing that the kid does, and that's great because then it takes the pressure and the attention off of other quarterbacks and other stories around the NFL because everybody is very singularly focused in on Johnny Manziel. Mm-hmm. One thing I do need to say is that I am completely not shocked that Rex Grossman has ended up in Cleveland with his boy Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
You know, I mean, is Rex the only one who knows Kyle's scheme, or is Rex the only one who hasn't been burned by Kyle's scheme? I mean, I don't know. I thought that I thought that Kyle maybe held Robert back a little bit, but that's just my take on it. It'll be interesting to see how he works with Manziel and what skills and abilities he tries to draw out of Manziel,
Mm-hmm.
especially with getting the criticism that Robert needed to learn how to not default to running the way that Manziel seems to want to default. It'll be interesting to me to see how he develops Manziel. So I am looking forward to being able to see the kid though. Back in 2012, I was able to see Brian. Brian. I was able to see Andrew Luck and Robert play their first preseason game against each other, and that was exciting to me. And I'm going to get to see Manziel, which is kind of exciting to me. But tell me, who do you guys face in week 1?
Dolphins.
No.
Dolphins are our first regular season game. So,
Okay.
and they just signed Brady Quinn, which was weird because supposedly, Josh McDaniels worked him out or something in Denver. I don't know if he must have went there or something, and so there was talk about that, potentially us trading Mallett for Quinn. I love Brady Quinn. He's a Notre Dame alum. Big problem with Brady Quinn is he can't stay healthy.
Right.
Majorly injury prone. If he could stay healthy, he would be dynamic. He's amazing. He's got legit skills. But unfortunately, if it's not his leg, it's his thumb or his hand, and that's unfortunate because he's got some skills. But the Dolphins signed him. But so we have a division game right off the bat.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that sets the bar high for your guys, and it sets the level of expectation. Believe me, even though it was a preseason game last Thursday, I can tell you I would not have wanted to be one of those players having to be stuck in a room with Bill Belichick, having to suffer through watching film, because I'm sure that he had plenty to say to them. So I'm sure that for y'all, a division game, in week 1 is going to set the pace for you guys. And I believe me, when it comes to your division rivals, we don't face ours. And it's the Eagles in week 3. In week 1 we travel to Houston to go up against the Texans. I'm concerned. I want for Robert to be like upright on his feet and away from my other defensive love of my football life, J.J. Watt and
Oh, I love him.
Oh my God! Oh, I love J.J. Watt. But J.J., please, just don't do anything really, really bad to Robert, please. I want you to play well.
Yeah.
I don't want you to hurt Robert, okay? And Jadeveon, I want to see how Jadeveon does. I watched him, throughout the combine or the whole process leading up to the draft. So I'm interested to see how he does. And then we play the Jaguars in week 2. A lot of people would say that that's a gimme game, and I don't know that that's going to be a gimme game. I think that more than the Texans, pardon me, is going to be our biggest test, because a lot of people are just going to say, it's the Jaguars. That's a W for sure. And I want to see how well prepared and how hyped my Redskins are to play these Jaguars, because I think that the Jaguars are going to give them a run for their money. So tell me a little bit about, maybe a rookie on your team or a rookie that's on one of the other teams that maybe you watched throughout the draft and the combine process. Tell me, who are you keeping your eye on? Is there any one specific guy that you've got your eye on in this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Jaguars. Blake Bortles, who the Jaguars drafted. I watched that kid all through the combine. you know, went to University of Central Florida. He's amazing. I picked him to be the first quarterback, and I had said it leading up to the draft. I was so glad I was right because everyone said Manziel, but Bortles is a safer bet for a starter. He's smart, he's humble, and I think he's ready to lead a team. People are laughing at me for this, but I think that the Jaguars are a team that are going to surprise everybody. I think that this is a team that has drafted a quarterback in round 1, that has basically loaded up their O-line in the subsequent rounds of the draft, and also gotten him some weapons. This is a completely new offense, and I keep saying this. It's an exciting time to be a Jaguars fan. I think, you know, really winning 2 games last year, they can only go up, really. But they're an exciting team to watch, and I really have my eye on Bortles. I'm excited to see the Patriots' first-round pick. I'm trying to think of his name right now off the top of my head. Kelvin Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little nervous because he has had some injuries in college that were pretty significant injuries. So I'm gonna kind of have my eye on him because, to be honest, I felt like we should have had a better first-round pick. I felt like we could have done better. Obviously, I defer to Belichick, who is kind of a football savant genius, so he knows what he's doing. But I have my worries about him on the defense. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what he's able to accomplish. Khalil Mack over in Oakland. I'm excited to kind of see what he does. I feel like he was really in Clowney's shadow, and he shouldn't have been. He is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player, and he really got relegated to the backup in the draft, which probably just helped him focus more. But I'm excited to see what he's able to do this year. Derek Carr was also signed by Oakland. I'm excited to see what he's able to do, too. He's competing with Schaub for the starting position. I've only heard good things about him. So those are pretty much all the rookies that I'm keeping an eye on that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably the biggest one for me is I've heard such, like, equally split positives and negatives about Jadeveon Clowney. I really want to see how he does. I want for him to be successful, and I'm interested to see which side of the praise or the critique is he going to come down on. How well is he going to do with JJ and the rest of the defense? What types of what types of things are they going to find out about him, positive or negative, and how is his rookie year going to unfold? I think that's probably where my eyes are going to be resting as far as rookies go. I'm of course very interested in seeing what happens with Morgan Moses, the tackle that I was telling you about, who joined the Redskins this year from University of Virginia. I will be very, very interested to see what happens with Blake Bortles, because I, like you, do believe that the Jaguars, it may not be this year, but it's going to be in the next couple of years, are going to come out of nowhere. And I think that, pardon me, that we're going to all be very shocked by them. I think that they're going to surprise a lot of people. So, for sure. So it's getting close to that time of the evening where we're going to start wrapping up. Erica, remind us a little bit about where we can find you. Tell us a little bit about your next broadcast, and any specific shout-outs that you want to give. Please take the floor.
All right. So my Twitter, you can see it there at PatsFangirl12. I also run the Gridiron Girl Twitter, which is at GridironGirl.org. I love Twitter. I'm a little bit of a junkie. I have to make myself not be on Twitter. But hit me up. I love talking football. Friendly trash talk. I get very competitive, so if you get intense, I get intense back, and it's not a good situation. So just some friendly competitiveness is what I would advise in the Twitter trash talk. Girl on Girl, we have some exciting stuff coming up. My UW column is going to be up soon, which I'm excited to write about my experience at Pac-12 Media Day. The Gridiron Beauties radio show every Sunday at 3:30 Pacific time, Blog Talk Radio and UltimateSportsTalk.com. We are in the process, Mandy's actually helping us with a book. Gridiron Girl has written a book, kind of a how-to guide for women that are a little bit in the dark about football. My theory is that the reason women don't like football is because they don't understand it. I completely fell in love once I understood the game, and that's really my goal, our goal at Gridiron Girl. So Mandy's going to help us with editing and things, so we're hoping to self-publish in a while once we get that. Gridiron Girl, if you're kind of in Oregon and Washington, they're doing an Oregon game day show. Nicole Brown is our Oregon writer, so she's doing that. So keep an eye. They've actually gotten airtime already. And if you live in the South, Alabama, you can go on our website, gridirongirl.org. It's called The Girls of Fall, which is a Football 101 class, along with tailgating. There's going to be cooking demonstrations and a whole fashion demonstration. Gridiron Girl is actually going to have a table there. Our Alabama writer, Tracy Markham, is going to be down there. So if you're in the area, go check it out. We're giving away stuff, lots of fun things. So that's what we have going on right now.
Well, that sounds like your plate is full. And then, you know, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Erica has very graciously agreed to be one of our rotating co-hosts for the season, upcoming season, and I'm looking forward to that because, you know, she, like me, we love our respective home teams, but we always have a thrill for some of the other players around the league and are cheering for many other guys around the league. We are lovers of football. Before I close the show, what I would like to do, if I may, is to take a moment just to say that many of us, I was watching all through last evening and then all day today, I was watching on social media the reaction to the untimely passing of Robin Williams. My God, he was a staple of entertainment in my life since I was in junior high school, and I was shocked. Shocked like many of us are, like we lost a member of our family. And many of us were commenting on how sad it is to be loved and admired by millions and yet feel as though you are all alone and you have no one. So what I would like to do is to remind everyone out there, depression is not a character flaw. Depression is real. There are many people who are afflicted with depression. Please, if you know someone in your life, a friend, a family member, or another loved one in your life who was affected by depression, please let them know that you're there, whether it's just to sit with them and hold their hand, listen to their concerns, hear them when they cry, or help them by taking them to someone who can help them. Please remind them that there is always an answer. It may not be easy to get to that answer. It may not be a very clear-cut path to get through a horrible depression, but you can always make it through. Suicide is a very permanent solution to temporary problems. Please, please, let anyone that you know who is suffering know that it's okay to ask for help, that there is nothing wrong with them, and that you're there to support them. Make sure that they know that they have somewhere to turn, because Robin Williams felt like he didn't have anybody he could talk to, and how sad is that? So on that very somber note, I want to say thank you to all of my viewers, to all of you who have kept in touch with us throughout the off season, who have asked for us to come back quickly and to Please make their Tuesday nights a bright one. And I want to thank you for your support. And I will look forward to seeing you next week when we're going to talk all about fantasy football. So with that, I'm going to say from Mandy to you, good night, y'all. We'll see you next time on Cover 3.
Night, everybody.